Hey, how's it going? Uh, I am gonna read you some cards. Uh, Took me a while. Oh, wow, I was just sitting there. Sorry about that. Took me a while to get started. Something was happening. I was feeling something, I should say. And that's something I just thought, like, whoa, was something that I should pay attention to or try to figure out what I'm feeling means, because I know that some people associate feelings with stuff going on outside of themselves, and I can generally what I can figure out with feelings, it mostly relates to like my own feelings on my own stuff, like, it's all personal. Other people are like, I feel this way, there's gonna be an earthquake, and I'm like, oh wow, I just realized one day, I feel a lot of stuff, and I sure would like to know what it means, because it doesn't all have meaning to like my health or something. And there are mysterious feelings, like I have talked about before. I had this weird sensation like around my rib cage, I think on like the outside of it, but under my skin and everything the first time I felt it, it was on my left side. It's lower down, behind behind the memories. And I was alarmed. I was like, what is that? And I checked my heart rate. I was like, okay, that's not going nuts. I didn't have a fever. I wasn't sick. I had like nothing I could correlate it to. I just felt, I've talked about it. It's like the size of one of those little blue muscle balls is what it feels like. It might be a little smaller than that. And it's not hard, I don't think, but it presses sometimes. Sometimes it feels like it gets bigger, like it swells, and I'll have to like do breathing to make it. It's like it gets excited, and I have to do breathing to make it shrink back down and stop throbbing. I guess it throbs. And then the next time I felt it, it was all the way the other side, and I was like, still like checking all of the things and finding like, nope, that doesn't correlate to anything. What is that? And then the time that it scared me, or it made me want to like go to the doctor and see, is there something wrong that needs a doctor's attention? And the reason I didn't go before that is because what the heck moves around like that? I've never heard of anything like that. So I was thinking, it might not be medical. I mean, our bodies are going through some genetic changes, like structural something or othering. Changing from carbon, mainly carbon, to light or crystalline bodies. Look that up. Go ahead. I'm not even going to try to tackle that right now. I made some of my specialty. I don't think I should try to get too deeply involved in anything. So I did pull some cards, but I just wanted to talk about synchronicities. As per usual, I prepped with various things throughout the day, which really I didn't do too much of that during the day. I pretty much did it within the last like 2 hours, but that's okay. I had pulled the cards though. So one of the things I watched right before I started doing this And this person that person's channel is like a huge resource to me. I just, for some reason, she just can read my life, like she can just see it. But maybe she can. But the thing is, it's like, it's a general reading. So there's lots of, like the one I just watched was for my sign, and there's lots of people with my same sign. So it's not like she could just be, well, you would think she couldn't be talking to me, but there could be, understandably, easily, other people in similar circumstances to mine, in enough ways that, like, stuff she was saying was just like, boom, 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 like, that's so right, how do you know that? And that's why I enjoy watching that person's readings. Secret Shaman, that's her name, on YouTube, if you'd like to check her out. So, but she was talking about synchronicities, and I have a little bit too. I didn't really think about it being connected because it wasn't synchronicity talk that I was getting out of a guidebook. It was just myself talking about it. and when I talk about it, I talk about like what I learned about it when it was making sense. There's a lot of stuff you can look at. I think the guy's name is John Solo. He might be an entertainment guy, but he talked about shoot, I hate it when that happens. See, I didn't want to get like too sidetracked because I would get lost. Was it a meditation thing I was talking about? No, I don't remember. Yay! Synchronicities. Oh, duh, synchronicities. One of his videos I watched a long time ago when I was like, well, I watched it and it talked about his experience with them and noticing them and then keeping track of them and then like thinking about them and realizing that they weren't just like, oh, what a coincidence or what a synchronicity, but it actually, had meaning, like it had resonance in a way that like you would wake up to the fact that like, oh, this is that situation, or other type things. And so I remember watching it going, that sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to do that. Remember everything? Keep track of it. But then I started doing it. And it's definitely like a give and take, because the more you get them, the more of them you get, and the more of them you get, the more you get them once you start paying attention. And it's like funny, they'll sneak up on you in ways that will just have significance to you. Okay, there's like a super high-pitched ringing in my ear right now. You don't have to leave, I was just saying. Okay, well, anyway. But the more you do it, it's like you get like benefits from noticing them, and it's like a little game, and other times it's more serious. But for me, most of the time it's like a oh, how fun kind of situation. And so earlier in some of the other part of thing I do, which is meditate outside, I was watching clouds, and it was like going pretty fast, showing me all these things. But first it was a triangle. Oh, first it was a diamond hole in the cloud, right? The cloud cover, and it was moving. The clouds are like, when you can see it move. And it wasn't windy on the ground, so I don't know what was going on up there in the weather, but it was happening. And lots of fluffy round things and patches of blue, so odd openings here and there, and different shades of cloud I don't know for what reason. I'm not like a weather lady, so I could possibly tell you. And I don't know. I really don't know if like weather now makes colors. I don't know. I haven't heard of anything like that. But I haven't heard everything. Anyway, so first I saw a diamond shape, and I thought, because everything was all like cloud, like loop, like round edges, and looking like slow explosions. If you've ever seen an explosion, it'll have like all of these sort of kind of like a fractal, like it just explodes and blooms and blooms and blooms. But it's like a cloud thing, so do you know what I mean? So anyway, I was like, straight lines in that really curvature shaped cloud. Interesting. And then there was a triangle, and then there was another one in a different place, and it was different size and different color, and then it was upside down, and then then I saw a tetrahedron, and I was like, really? Wow! These are clouds. What else did I see? Oh, I saw a blue whale, because the colors accommodated that for me, thank you. It had like the long, like, I want to say gullet. It's called something else, and it goes up to their chin. They don't, where if it had a chin, that's where it would be. I don't think they have a chin. I think they have a lip, more of a lip situation going on, which was there. And then that was light colored, and you could see like there's like these lines on an actual blue whale in that area that I'm talking about, and it was on this cloud, and then like the lip was there, and then darker part, and then the eye was there, and I noticed the eye first before I even noticed the whale shape, because it was another little triangle, but it wasn't like the eye around like the iris and the pupil was round. It was like that was the triangle shape, like the eye itself was triangle shaped, and then there was like an oddly shaped pupil that kind of like a little comma or something in there. And I was like, are you kidding me? Because the edges were really crisp. It was like that is not a sort of triangle. That there was an acute triangle, there was an isosceles triangle. I'm like digging up all this old ass geometry lesson out of my brain, just tripping out on these clouds. But so yeah, I saw the eye first. It was a triangle, so I didn't realize like, oh, that's an eye. And then there was a darker blue part that looked like blue whale, and then it looked like maybe 2/3 of the body was showing, and then the rest of it was in a flume of cloud water splashiness. And there was something else. I don't know, was that enough though? I mean, it was like, wow, it just showed me a whole bunch of stuff. Really, I could have waited. I should have waited to do this, and I'll tell you why I didn't wait. Because, well, I think my hair looks pretty decent, and I know I'm going to go to bed after this, and as soon as I do that, it's going to be a whole situation that I'm going to have to tend to, and it's not going to look this good. So, but I did stop and like slow down for a while. Before, like all day, I didn't actually pull out the cars. I was just thinking about them, like more and more as the day went on. I was like, I knew they were there. I knew what I had pulled out, but I hadn't really, I didn't know what was happening with them. So then I had taken them out. And then I started having like a whole body feeling. It was like You ever have that feeling when you have static all over the inside of you or outside of you? Uh, I don't know, like maybe before an electrical storm or a thunderstorm or something. I don't know. I haven't really had it outside of. Maybe I had it in like a carnival or something, in some kind of attraction that, you know, like it would make your hair stand up kind of thing. So it kind of felt like that, but it was on the inside and the outside, which I don't know why, but I just thought of like a breaded steak or something like that. Okay. It's a strange sensation. It comes in waves, and it was pretty strong at first. I was like, I don't even know. Whoa, wait a minute, because like my tea, I didn't know the waves were coming. The tea is amplifying things, so had to wait a while. I had to like root myself again, and that's when, like after all day. The way to open these cards. Well, it finally came to me. I really had to like, you know, like take a minute. It was more than me just wanting to dash into it and do it. It was like something was really making me go, wait a minute, just hold on, stop a second. So I want to talk about the shapes. One set of pyramids that came up, there was just one big one, and it was on like a white, well, it wasn't on a white flat anything. I don't think, I think it was like a hole in the clouds, and then there was a darker part behind it, so it looked like a dark pyramid sitting on like a white plane. And then there was like a cloud blue in between there. And then there was another two openings that were light that way. And then there were two pyramids sitting on there. And I was like, that looks like the Giza Plateau. What the heck is going on? And so that's what I wanted to look up as well. Maybe I will write about it in the description box. So, but tetrahedron is what I did end up looking up. And this is what caught my eye. Here it says this 2 times. Represent, or can be said to represent, the complete equilibrium and unity of the 2 poles of nature, spirit and matter, masculine and feminine, heaven and earth. The next one says pretty much the same thing, but it adds, consciously working with the symbol encourages us to balance these energies. And then, so here's the one that caught my eye. The tetrahedron, it can help, star tetrahedron, excuse me, it can help in the connection between the ethereal and physical bodies, and is also a constant reminder to remember our divine, loving, and true nature. That is what struck me, and that is kind of what I feel like is what I'm always kind of trying to get at when I'm talking. Oh, I didn't even do my signs. I'm sorry, I just started going blah, 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 blah. Please look at my signs. Thank you. Okay. And the star tetrahedron, I've gotten, like, it'll just show up. It'll just start showing itself to me. It'll just all be there where I'm looking or whatever. So, but it's, a long time ago, oh no, I'm thinking of a different symbol, but I guess, like, geometry and stuff was part of, like, mystery school learning, and there is a hedron that was actually like outlawed, and it's the dodecahedron, and I think it's like the 12-sided dice that's used in Dungeons and Dragons now. So that escaped the mystery school. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I have an idea of what that situation is about. So, yeah, the whale, that is, with the triangle eye, I have no idea what that means. Maybe I should have waited even longer to do that, but I'm just going to have to throw caution to the wind here. So, I pulled a total of 4 cards. Where's that deck? Oh, come on now. It's so small. How did I lose it already? Oh, there it is. Yep, so the first card I pulled was from the Kawaii Tarot deck. And it is the Wheel of Fortune card, number 10, which is indicated by the very formerly Twitter X looking X, I thought. But, you know, again, you can't own X apparently. It's everywhere. And there's that little ball I was talking about. What are you doing right now? Yeah, it comes at certain times. So I guess this is one of those times. So note whatever's happening right now. It's causing the ball. So I had to look this up too, because I had like one thing from it, just from looking at it, and it was from looking at it. And I basically did grasp it, kind of, when I went and looked at the little book that I have. It talked about what I thought, which was, and I was talking about this just yesterday, about a wheel being like, a cycle being like a wheel. And there's illustrations that you can find talking about the course of your life, where it starts as a baby and then it goes through like all of the ages to where it's like an old man usually, and that's where they croak, and then the whole thing starts all over again. Like they go into heaven and, I don't know, drop into the trapdoor and go back into life and start going up around again. But anyway, what I was saying yesterday is with a cycle, if you liken it to a wheel, you're going to start on one beginning of the rotation and go all the way around, and by the time you get to the end, you're the old guy and it's time to reset. And what did I have this? Oh, so that's what I thought. Like, you know, it's symbolic of a beginning and a finish of a cycle. And here is what the book had to say about the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that life is always in flux. So, like, living the life, growing and evolving, or whatever, evolving works. There are many symbols on this card, representative of dozens of life cycles we experience. And I would actually confine that to one life, because we do go through ages within. God, is my tongue numb? Is that the... Okay, well, recipe talk later. Whatever strain I happen to blend there is, I don't know, it's making my tongue a little bit clay tongue. Sorry. There is an aspect of the Wheel of Fortune that foretells good luck and success, often when the querent is making good decisions anyway. The Wheel of Fortune encourages optimism and faith that the universe will grant a good outcome. The universe is unpredictable and sometimes chaotic, but it will take care of us if we are open to it. Well, I will agree with that last paragraph, because I do try to stay optimistic and faithful that, the universe is going to grant a good outcome. And, well, the way to do that is to mind your beeswax, basically. But I like what it says here about the aspect of the Wheel of Fortune that foretells good luck and success, often when the querent is making good decisions anyway. Well, there's not really a querent here, a person asking a question, but this is one of these situations, or all of my readings, I guess, one of those situations, where there is no querent because it's me, it's you, like, it's just out there. Apply it as necessary, apply as needed. And so, that, as long as you're making good decisions, oh my God, that's like just a good rule of thumb for life anyway. So, I guess we're talking about cycles here, and that there are a bunch of different ones. And what that would indicate to me is that, well, I mean, every time you do something, you learn a thing. If you do a thing that you want to learn to do well, you do the thing 1,000,000 times. It's called practice. And that's what we're doing. And, it's kind of clashy right now, maybe because multiple cycles are starting and ending. I mean, just the sound of it is messy. So, the second card I pulled is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. And it is the First Breath card, number 21. And the subtitle is Beginner's Mind. Is that suggesting the baby at the start of the rotation of the Wheel of Fortune? I think so. Let's hear and see what the book says. Come here. First breath, a fresh start and renewed curiosity. Renewed, as if it's a repeating cycle. Okay, let's go with that. Natural trust, beginner's mind. I have a thought, but I'm just going to hold it because it might not even apply here. When the first breath card shows up for you, it is time to leave the old stories and tales behind. You have arrived. Take a deep breath and another. There is nothing else you need to do but take in the new world that is revealing itself around you. Trust your natural curiosity. There is no need to dwell on how difficult the journey has been or how tight the passage to get where you are now. Just take it all in and experience the awe and wonder of your arrival at this destination. Even if it's a familiar place you have come to many times before and you're repeating cycles over and over, try to experience it. That repeating cycles business was just a little insert I put there. Even if it is a familiar place you have come to many times before, try to experience it as if for the first time. For you are renewed, and the old you is no longer your concern. Practice the beginner's mind, not labeling or naming what you see and experience. That situation that was so difficult only a few days ago, just go with it and breathe. You have already gone beyond it. Have overcome and resolved it, even if no one else realizes this yet. Soon enough they will, as you move on. Do not squander the power of first breath, giving the old narrative mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Use it for new beginnings to animate a world you can play and create in. Do not underestimate the power of your breath and the magic of the word. That's synchronicity there at the end of that sentence, because I actually was having a conversation online, and I I guess I warned the person that I was speaking to watch what they were spelling in the messages. They had written something, and I'm not talking about a grammatical spelling error. I'm talking about the sequence of words and what they were saying and what they were conveying, I should say. And so that there rings true for me. And the returning to a familiar place, that's the repeating cycle that I was talking about. So yeah, I guess I was on the right track on that. The starfish, actually, I learned recently that it is not a fish, so it is not a starfish. It is a sea star is the proper name for it, I guess. I don't know how recent a decision that was, but it seems to be the case. You know, when I look at this sea star, of course my eye, well, not of course, today my eye is drawn to the pattern on it, where it looks like so many things that occur in nature. It looks like it looks like a sacred geometry. It looks like it could be something under the microscope, some sort of organism. It could be like a flower structure, like decaying one, also under the microscope, or not. It's really like it really kind of sucks you in, and it's reminding me. I guess I have Terrence Howard on my mind, because the reason why I was freaking out about the geometric shapes in the clouds is because I had just watched a video where it has a clip of him, and it's about math, and this particular one was an actual math scientist guy that that's what he went to school to be, and that is what he still is, whereas Terrence Howard is kind of a savant. And you know, when science starts taking on new stuff, the old people do not want to get with the new stuff coming in. It's like so hard to untrench the status quo, the accepted science, and it happens every time. And I wonder, these scientists also get the amnesia every time there's a discovery, that everyone eventually has to collectively agree that yes, this is the truth. So anyway, he was saying that straight lines don't occur in nature, and if you look, that's really kind of true, except I did think of basalt. Anyway, it's a rock, and it's pretty squared off, straight up and down columns, like volcanic rock or something, maybe. So, I mean, I guess there are exceptions, but not many. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because one of the other things that he talks about is how how there's a math holiday for nerds, I guess, called Pi Day, P-I, and it's a category of math, I guess, like calculus, or one of the other ones that are escaping my brain right now, but a higher order of mathematics or calculation. I don't even know if it's probably several steps beyond mathematics, but some sort of kind of exotic calculations, like quantum physics. Quantum physics, really? Quantum physics. And what his hypothesis is, Terrence Howard, is that the seed of life or the flower of life, either one of those sacred geometric symbols, but I think it's the flower of life that he talks about that has these like negative spaces, and I forget, I don't know that it relates to pi exactly, but that's just like another one of his maverick theories. But so, oh yeah, I guess it does have to do with pi. It's the measurement, like the negative spaces in the illustration of the flower of life. It's like math. It's like a problem, or a problem, and it is just it's like the code of the thing's existence, and in those negative spaces are how pi is correctly computed. Don't ask me to explain it any better than that, because I really can't. he says, you know how pi is, if you've ever seen the number pi, like seriously, if you're familiar with it, it's like digit point, digit 3 for a million years. Like 3, you'll never ever be able to stop counting 3s. And that's kind of as well as I'm going to know that number and talk about it to you. So, it's just deeply like mysterious and fascinating that just existing everywhere you look is pretty much that situation, because at least with natural stuff, they all have this I don't know, like I guess it's math too, this existence where just that alone is a computation. Like maybe like if you look at it, it's a computation. Like if it has the ability to move in some way, that creates another computation, and then whatever moves the movement creates more computation. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's like the density and composition. I knew it was in there somewhere. I felt like I was going through a closet, getting hangers out of the way, looking for composition. Here it is. Ow! Man, the osteopenia is really getting me today. I took a salt bath. It actually relieved more stress than it did pain, but this puppy is just, I have to use the arm, so there's no way to avoid it. Well, there is. I have a motorized chair, but I don't feel like crashing into everything, and it is not the widest space where I'm sitting. It's this pretty much this width. Everything's real close. The whole kitchen, like, it's not spacious. There's no space for an island in here. Anyway, so okay, that's what I'm getting from the sea star, a bunch of math. But this also has the negative spaces, which would be the dark spaces, which would be in Howard's hypothesis, the dark, what do we call it? The dark, something math. Something outer space. Oh, math computation crap. I told you that is not my area of expertise. If I have one, it most certainly is not that one. So the final card that I pulled, oh my goodness. Oh, getting ahead of myself. I knew there was something else that I had to say about the starfish, and it's in this book. Wait, hold on. Am I in the water? Yes, I'm in the water element section. Sorry, not starfish. Sea star. Gotta get it right. And I'm not complaining about that. I actually like to get the names of people and things correct. So, sea star and starfish. She hasn't caught on yet. Anyway, beautiful, alluring, superficial or shallow. The starfish is a natural and exquisite beauty, mesmerizing to all. Being around someone with starfish energy is a thrill, like you've been put under a spell of divinity itself. The problem is, these creatures have been reliant on how they look and what other people think of them for so long they may have forgotten that they're deeper, or they may have forgotten their deeper callings. When this card appears, it's important to ask, am I being swayed by outward appearances? What dreams have I put aside to please others? When in balance, uplifting, artistic, expressive. When out of balance, the gossips feels empty. To bring into balance, positive friends. Okay, so I think there may have been some sea star energy in an experience I just had. Like, you know how when you're talking online to somebody and you take a chance, you take a chance to start talking to them, and I get a lot of deceitful people. Like, they'll just say they're somebody else, and with this last one, I should have done my due diligence. Like, that, it's my bad on that. Like, I should have said, like, just prove who you are. There's simple ways to do it. Doesn't require, like, a high level of technology. You don't even have to go on, like, a Snapchat type situation, like a video messaging type deal. There are a couple of things that you can do, and I'm not going to say what they are because they're very simple and any idiot could figure them out if they really wanted to talk to you and they were a sincere person. I have yet to meet the person that has either figured it out or been sincere online. Well, I mean, this is a certain set of circumstances that happens with a particular incident, but I've met so many people online that have just tried to mess with me. Like, they just, I don't know, like, they just want to talk to me, and sometimes they'll try to, like, it hasn't happened in a while because the ones that want money, I've just been able to figure them out, like, before they even get too far, and then just get rid of them, because really, if they want anything at all, then it's a red flag. It's like, you don't meet people and be all, I want something from you, and just try to start, like, wheedling shit out of you. That's a scammer right there. So that doesn't happen anymore. That's for many years now, like probably 5 or 6 years. I, like, cottoned on to that. But you know, it's like a fencing match. They figure out, like, when you get wise to stuff, and then they gotta figure out new ways to do it. So even before there was an internet, I had no problem. I have even a curiosity about talking to and maybe getting a little bit in the head of scary people, sketchy people, dodgy people, unsavory people. And the thing about it is that things are not always the way they appear, and that is why I have continued to do it. Sometimes it has been seriously, like, not safe, but it's a lot safer now when you're online talking to strangers. And so I'm not, like, a psychic medium, and I don't think they can even always, like, walk up to somebody and know that they intend you evil. But I guess maybe they could, because somebody on the other side would probably tell them. As for me, I just have to work on, like, a feeling, and it's not always obvious anymore because they learn, and that's why I don't like to say anything in front of a camera or a microphone that would give them a hint to scamming somebody or harassing them and just being a catfish and stupid. Well, no, I'll take back stupid. I was gonna just berate the type of person that would do that because a lot of times they don't ask me for anything, and I know that eventually it's gonna come because they're not giving you anything. Oh, I just gave something up. But they know that they don't. It's not about them like really giving you anything. It's more like they listen to you and throw back what they learned at you, and they just sort of like fluff it up a little bit. But it's all about fluffing you up. It's about making you think that they're like all into you, so you're not paying attention when they finally decide to unleash the scam. So I know that's going on. And I thought that the person I was talking to was a prominent person, like someone whose name you'll recognize. And then the person I'm seeing said, well, I know this person, so I called them up, and they don't know who you are, so block them, and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, that's why I tell you, you know, I worry that, like, you're going to talk to somebody, and they're going to, like, be trying to scam you. And I'm like, who isn't online? Who isn't not online? It's like, thank you for your concern, but I'm not like new. So here's the thing. I feel like everyone is awesome until they demonstrate that they're not. So I can talk to you and go along just fine, but know that I am just waiting for you to F up, basically. And then if you don't, great. But I do have to determine, like, who am I talking to and what do they want from me. And so it may seem like I'm just going along and, like, not even realizing the danger of things. And, you know, but maybe I learned something from the scammers too. Maybe I scam them a little bit back too, make them think that I'm really serious about the conversation when they don't know I'm still trying to determine, what do you want from me, stranger? You reached out, get to it. What do you want? So, you know, in the recent past, I may have felt like bad about not like being able to pick out the veracity of this person's claim to their identity, but I didn't even look. I didn't even look, really. And there's a reason for it. Not that I was being careless. I definitely have, like I said, it's been like a sparring match, like back and forth, trying to get them to prove who they are. And the longer that goes on, well, it don't go on for too long, because when it starts and I'm not, like, after about 3 tries, if they're still like acting like it's a game and not answering the question, I'm like, you're full of shit, bye. You know, so I'm not like completely gullible like my good friend is afraid of. They got a lot to learn about me still. So anyway, like I was gonna say, in the very recent past, I would have been upset because I didn't figure it out sooner. But you know, the conversation I had was in good faith, you know, so I don't feel bad about being wrong about it. I feel like I treated that person fairly and decently, and you know, I feel like there's no fault in that. So even if it wasn't who I thought it was, well, I wasn't sure that's who I thought it was anyway, because it's online and I didn't... Oh, I don't want to be all repeating myself. I also want to start to rely more on my intuition than I have been, because it's like getting atrophied because I don't even try to use it. You know, I'm like, prove it, show me a picture, and hunting everything down like a detective, and it's like, I want to like do less of that and more of the sensing part of the interaction. So I did pull a card from the angel number deck, and it was the 0404 card, and it says slow down, which when I was looking at it earlier, remember I was saying that I was feeling kind of funny and waves were going over me, and I thought maybe I should just wait until whatever this is finished happening at least. So, because I really felt like, well, it was like it wasn't a euphoria induced by my tea. It's potent, but the thing about those things is they're only potent for a little while, and then gradually it tapers off. So I saw slow down, and I was feeling that, and I was like, that's probably a good idea. And I noticed something about the keywords, because they always have like the number and then the subtitle, and then these are the keywords, and there's text. And so with the keywords, I think I'm using them as intended, and it's like sort of bouncing them off of whatever I'm talking about, and however it correlates with what I'm saying and what's in the little paragraph at the bottom here, which I'm going to read to you now. Pay close attention to the people in your life, your surroundings, and your physical health. Don't freak out. It's just a warning to be careful and awake to avoid any further issues. So, is it talking about the person that I was just talking about that was deceitful? That I actually do look out for in my life. And also, I grew up in Hollywood, and there were at least 4 serial killers that are nationally known that were in my total neighborhood. Wow, what was that? And I remember when it was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. It was so freaking hot that summer, and it was like you couldn't keep your windows closed. And I mean, it's not like the South. There's not just universal air conditioners, although I don't know why the hell not. I haven't lived in LA in a couple of decades, maybe a few decades now. I no longer count. But I mean, that's one of the reasons I left. That was one of the big reasons, is it was too friggin' hot. And I was born there. I just don't like heat. Anyway, why did I start talking about that? I don't know. Oh, yes I do. Yeah, so to pay attention to your surroundings. And when I saw that, I thought of the serial killers and how you can't just stop your life. And it is terrifying and horrifying, but did I talk about like deliberately sort of hanging around really sketchy, scary people? I wasn't that worried about it. Like, of course I realized what could happen to me, and that would be horrible, but well, for one thing, I didn't seem to fit any of the type of the Night Stalker, although he was kind of all over the place too. But anyway, it's a crapshoot. You just never know. So I just feel like you can't live your life in fear of stuff that's just out there everywhere. And it is I feel like if you're worried about violence on the streets, it's kind of worse now. And there's still the serial killers out there, or serial murderers. I forget what the official FBI terminology is now, because they love those terminology and they expect everybody to adopt them in government terminology. I just ain't feeling UAP, okay? So, the keywords, sorry, just meandered off into nonsense. Let me just reel it back in. So, the keywords this time are they almost seem like they are clashing with each other, but it makes a sort of sense if you think of it that way. And it sort of all ties into what everything I've talked about here, except for the clouds. They don't really have nothing to do with this stuff. But balance. So, well, I take it back. I'm wrong. The tetrahedron, what does it talk about? Like, one of the first things in all three of those definitions was balance. And so, power struggle, I almost feel like that's a personal power struggle to stay in balance. And I want to think micro and macro on that, like to you and I personally, and then to all of us as a collective clump, when we get clashy with each other. And, you know, cycles, I'm surprised I didn't get any fives. Cycles are all about change, you know, and this is talking about many changes, and so that I think is always, it's got to be like sort of front of mind, because that's what happens. The old way and the people that want things to stay the same or even go back further are gonna naturally, although it shouldn't be. Let me take that back. There's nothing natural about it. They do, like, totally war with the new era that's trying to come into being and the people that are trying to usher everybody along into it, because that is the natural order of things. Change. Things come to an end. But there's a famous phrase about entropy, and it's basically all things come to an end. I think there's more to it. Thanks, that was useful, wasn't it? I don't know who I'm thinking. I'm saying it on your behalf. Like, thanks for that. That's not really helpful. And so, force, violence are the next two words. I mean, sort of the features of a power struggle. And that would indicate to me not you sitting there socking yourself in the head because you don't agree with yourself. So, okay, haha, tetrahedron. One of the other things was the joining of the masculine and the feminine. But that would indicate, I don't think as much as the physical man and woman meeting up to get it on. I think it's more about the internal power struggle. Hi, kitty, that we have. So, and then right after that comes hope. And so it really does sort of like act out the power struggle of change, and change and not change in a tug of war. And then there's other people that are like, as the card says, they're not freaking out. Don't freak out, because this is just change. Like, you'll get used to the new, you'll get used to the old not being the same anymore. And it wasn't anyway, because the old is always the past, and it's always like what's going away, and there's always people that don't want it to. But don't freak out. And after hope, authority. Well, I hope that means like bringing order and restoring balance. And ancestors, to me that just says, those are the people to look to in these times of imbalance, when there's power struggles happening and people trying to force. I tend to associate force with negative, and I guess sometimes you can encounter force and authority in change. Like, it's not always going to be positive and nice and happy. Sometimes an authoritarian regime will lose its leader and its leadership and turn into another generation of the same thing, or iteration rather, of an authoritarian regime. So, But that's not written in stone, because eventually change happens. The cycle of violence comes to an end eventually. Sorry, kitty, didn't mean to scare you. Didn't mean to scare you with the kitty card I picked up. He bit my phone yesterday because he wanted me to stop. So I think this is his way of saying wrap it up. I'm almost done, kitty, I swear. So yeah, ancestors, and I'm particularly thinking of like indigenous people, because those are the people you're most likely to hear, at least here in the United States, their forebears referred to as ancestors, and it usually makes you think of something like going back many, many, many generations, and maybe it does indeed mean that, because if you could like reach out to your ancestors in a time of imbalance, and there's power struggle and force and violence and all of that, and in authority, perhaps the tone of the authority, like in the midst of and then post the violence, it would take like the wisdom that you could glean from your ancestors, like whatever they may have left behind, or maybe you need like a shaman to like do a direct interface in another plane. But they've been through it all. If you want to follow my logic of who the ancestors are, then they've been through generations, and like when I say generations, I mean like maybe hundreds of thousands or years or more of, you know, this knowledge, this wisdom repository, but you have to reach them a certain way. So, and then restlessness, low vibrations, even to affect change in a low vibration situation, you kind of have to go down to that level to restore balance and sort of bring up, elevate the tone and the everything. Like hope, there's hope, hopefully out of the violent period and the urge to relive ancient battles. Like, yeah, there's ancestors from that too, but I want to stay on the hopeful side and say, like, well, you're not represented, so just don't freak out. Don't freak out. Chill. And the final keyword is warning. And everything I just said is gonna bring me to the politics and the voting situation right now in the U.S. and all of the, well, you know, I mean, it's not imminent, but it's coming. You know, it's heading for the final swing, I guess, or the final swing. Well, whatever the term is, the final whatever of the whole cycle. And there's all of the the power struggle, because the right wants to win over the left, and in some cases there has been a use of force. I want to say like wrong use of force, and then also correct use of force. There's been violence like in self-defense and in offense. And then there's a vast reservoir of also hope. Hope. So I'm not going to read through them all again, but some people have been saying that they don't think the situation with our choice of president in the United States that's coming up is as dire as some people describe it. Like, there's a lot of people that are in fear of the health of democracy in this country, the health of it, like the continuation of it, because that is under threat. I mean, institutions that were already hard fought in the legal system have been undermined and or else completely dismantled and removed. And it happened because it happened fast and right under our noses and in front of our faces, because we've all kind of like drifted away from paying attention to that. And unfortunately that's what needs to happen, I guess, like all the time. Like we constantly have to keep an eye on politics and our politicians, and then anybody that wants to come in behind the scenes or in front of the scenes or use a lobbyist and be in there remotely, like whatever it is, there's always somebody trying to tune the system to their own advantage, and that's just unfair. It's imbalance, and it's like that wealthy people thing, like I own a corporation or stocks in many corporations or whatever it is that's made you disgustingly filthy rich. It completely laundered your sense of compassion. You notice I'm not naming names because it's not everyone that has money that's that way, but even if they're like the benevolent millionaire, billionaire type, they still got issues. They still got issues too. They still like are in that multiple zeros in your bank account ether and think they're like all kinds of golden poop or something. I don't know. So like I feel like everything is a warning now. Like ecology is a big warning, and mental health is a warning, and housing is a warning, and people having enough, like everything's more expensive than you have money to pay for is a warning. And man, I guess it's the warning to pull our heads out of the sand and stop being ostriches, because I mean, if you got your head stuck in the sand, you're not going to see the Tiananmen tank coming to smash you. Thank you and good night. I don't know, was that optimistic or not? Sure, nothing's written in stone. We can still like course correct and avert disaster. Ooh, I want to check on those Italian volcanoes. Thank you and good night.